Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be looking or talking about a very powerful winter storm that is occurring and really just more impactful because it's an interesting one. I'm just going to call it a blizzard. And you may be surprised as to why I'm calling it a blizzard, but it's going to be occurring across the Midwest. There are blizzard warnings issued, and it's not necessarily that this thing will bring heavy snow. And really, in order to create a blizzard, you don't even need snow at all. You just need, or falling snow. You can have a ground blizzard, and this is what it will be for most of the United States, or most of these areas in a winter weather advisory. Now, they have a winter weather advisory, but that is mainly for, again, blowing snow. We do have a few blizzard warnings issued where the snow and the wind is stronger, but there are going to be many localized blizzard conditions. So we'll be talking about that. There's a lot to go over. Again, the snow amounts won't be really impressive by themselves, but there could be some impressive lake effect. There is an impressive storm across the Northwest, and we'll talk about a potential for a nor'easter as well, because there's a lot of things to go over, and weather is definitely getting active again. So I do want to say that before we get into this, if you guys are new to this channel, hello, welcome. Check out the videos, check out the channel, consider subscribing if you want, consider liking the video. Obviously, don't do that just because I told you so. Do it if you do enjoy it, and I'm just saying this at the beginning or because it's just a reminder for you to do it at the end. Obviously, let's start talking about this, and yeah, if you have any comments or concerns, please leave them down below. Okay, so let's go on, and let me click on a few random weather offices in this advisory plethora, and notice that there is a chance for snow. But if I take a look at the snowfall accumulations, they are measly, right? They're M1 to 3, 2 to 4. There are a few locations that pick up actually almost significant snow. You can see in northern Wisconsin. But it's really the wind gusts that are going to be exponentially exaggerating the situation compared to what normally would be. Notice, again, accumulations by themselves aren't really that great. But the snow that is already on the ground and the snow that is blowing from the one that's falling is going to create blizzard conditions. Now, there isn't, in some locations, blizzard warnings issued because there's just not enough confidence whether or not it will be a blizzard. 35 mile per hour winds, visibility less than a third of a mile, or for more than 3 hours. I think that's a qualification. So there's a lot of specific ones, but again, I was honestly surprised to see my weather office have a winter weather advisory issued for my area in Chicago. I wasn't really keeping up with the weather because I wasn't expecting anything too significant, and I did occasionally check it, but I was a bit surprised. Obviously, you could see the snow isn't anything significant, but we do have a winter weather advisory for my area because of mainly strong winds, and that will, again, we do have snow, some of that fluffy snow that will already be enough to produce and kick that snow up, especially with that falling snow. We could definitely see some blizzard conditions here, and slick spots on the road, right? The snow blowing back onto the roads, and notice that right into Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, all of these areas covered in this winter weather advisory. I do want to note that there are some high wind warnings or advisories where there really isn't snow, and there's just going to be some high winds, and you can see that again, those are those brown colors. We do have wind chill watches because this bittery kind of blustery air mass will be very, very cold, and that's why we have very, very cold air all the way down into the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. And let me show you some of these wind chills. Yeah, you can see Oklahoma isn't always warm, right? I always associate way to the south it's warm, hot. You can see during the night, during the winter, it does get pretty nasty. -8 to -7 right there, those wind chills. And there is also a northeast system, not a nor'easter because it's just a chance of some freezing rain. And I did mention a nor'easter, but that's later on in a week, and that's not this system that there's an advisory for currently. That's right here, Thursday night into Friday, which does look to be pretty significant as well. I do want to add, I know there's a lot of stuff to add, but that there could be some lake effect for a lot of these areas, and that's why there are winter storm warnings, because the heavy snow will be quite a bit heavier across these locations because of that lake effect. You can see the lake effect will be, it's perfect conditions, 3 to 5, 4 to 7, 3 to 5, 1 to 2, quite a bit of that snow, and that isn't just across Superior. You can see the Great Lakes of, including Michigan, will be picking up some snow. Let's click on just southwest or east of Muskegon. You can see right there, less than half an inch. Tomorrow, those 6 inches, 4 inches, and 1 inch, so up to 10, 11 inches of snow is possible. And let me start showing you this system on the maps, the weather models. And this is kind of what, again, fooled me a bit because it doesn't look too impressive on the models. I mean, you can see that there's obviously very strong winds, so yes, a blizzard condition, or at least some blizzard warnings were ought to be issued. But this snow probably will be a bit more expansive in terms of at least maybe not consistent snowfall, but showers. There could be isolated strong showers, snow showers that are extending into Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan, which the GFS doesn't really show. But notice that there's obviously a lot of cold air behind this. The winds blowing from the west are exaggerating that lake effect. And we do also have some mountain snow. As I mentioned, there are some winter storm watches and winter storm or just winter advisories across the northwest. Again, some freezing rain is possible with the along the northeast coast today, and that's why those are there. There's some weather advisories there. Notice the lake effect continues way beyond the system, and then that cold air settles in. And just to note that the cold air here will be very, very, very cold. And let's take a look at the 2-meter temperature shaded. So again, this is daytime highs for a lot of these locations. Notice, I mean, it's just barbaric cold across the north. Very, very cold, even as far south as Chicago, right? Des Moines, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Minneapolis, most of Nebraska, Omaha, Lincoln, Pierre, Aberdeen, Minot, Bismarck. I'm naming all the cities I could in that very cold air. And then, even for Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, not bitter cold, but chilly. And you can see this spread. And by the morning low temperatures, so lowest, where you can see the readings spread into the 20s all the way down towards Twin Cities and into Iowa. Notice Saturday, right? Another very cold night for many, but then during the day we do see a bit of a warm up, quite a big one, but the cold air remains very, very close. And in this little time frame with this giant cold blast of air, I do want to say that there's a system right here, right? This is kind of the northwest one. I keep referring to it quite a bit because this story doesn't end across the northwest. We do obviously have this blizzard maker right here. There's that very interesting wind whipped system and that cold air mass. But look, along this strong jet stream, we have this area of moisture from that same storm right along the south through kind of the central part of the country. Could drop a bit of snow into maybe Tennessee. You could see Kentucky, maybe even Missouri. Some models keep it a bit well put together. And this is where that nor'easter threat rises. Up along that trough that came in from Canada with that cold air, we have a system riding along it. And yes, this is a perfect setup. Notice we have snow across Kentucky, West Virginia, quite a bit across, again, maybe even North Carolina, Virginia. Though, again, the exact track is still yet to be determined. But you can see it's not far out, and we're still dealing with the effects from that first system across the Great Lakes. But look, it starts getting moisture. It is quick moving, which will keep the impacts limited. But look, New York City, Boston, Connecticut, Maine, seeing quite a bit of snow. And again, this is just a scenario from the GFS. Some models bring this system in much closer towards the shore, which would mean more snowfall. So let's just stop it at hour 84, because anything past that, we already have a lot of stuff to talk about. So I don't want to get stuff kind of distracted. Let's first take a look at the total snowfall. Again, this is what that system will leave behind tomorrow. Again, there could be some snow as far as northern Iowa, northern Illinois, Indiana. Not a lot. It's mainly just kind of the winds are going to make that worse. But where the heavy snow does fall on top of that wind, is where it's really bad. Notice the northwest, the mountain ranges of the Cascades, the Bitterroots pick up quite a bit of snow. Same into the Tetons of Wyoming. But this is where that system really strengthens, and you can see maybe even the shore areas picking up six plus inches of snow. It's not widespread according to the GFS, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's take a look at a different model now, because that is just one model, and there's a lot of stuff to go over, the timing, the track, but that's just one little model, so I can't really sit on one model and show you that because it may not even happen. Here's a different model. If you notice any changes, call them out. Obviously you can't, but notice that we do have a very similar setup, a bit more moisture for the northeast with the Canadian from this first little event. Notice same system, very wind whipped, very strong, and it does bring quite a bit of snow for some locations. We do have that northwest system. Here's the difference, though. It brings a bit more snow into Kansas, into Missouri maybe, with that system right there, right? Into Tennessee, Arkansas. It's a bit more developed earlier on. And again, hour 54, so the timing is relatively similar. But by late Thursday and into Friday, it goes through the mid-Atlantic. Again, a bit more snow for these locations than with the GFS, though very similar. And look, boom, it's closer towards the shore. It doesn't steer as far towards away from the coast. It's not super heavy snow, but it's light to moderate, and it does fall for a decent portion of a kind of a 12 to 24 hour period, but then it quickly moves out. And again, that snowfall footprint won't be significant, but it's a bit bigger than what the Canadian shows, with what the GFS shows, a bit more widespread with those amounts kind of ranging 3 to 5, 3 to 6. So it won't be a massive nor'easter, but it definitely could drop quite a bit of snow. For areas that haven't seen much, though. Again, there has been already quite a bit with that most recent one across Virginia, but not really towards New York City or whatnot. I do want to say, look at that up here. It leaves a lot more snow, and again, if we get it to intensify quicker, we could see some of those amounts get spread towards the south. Again, decent amounts for the Northwest and the Great Lakes from that system. Peep the lake effect. That is quite a bit of enhancement. And again, the lakes are largely unfrozen, so it's very, very effective than I guess it normally would be if it was a colder winter up until this point. Notice this is a European model, again, another model. So today, Wednesday, which is tomorrow, that system is blasting the Great Lakes, and it's really exiting most of the Great Lakes by kind of Thursday late in the day. Just some lake effect and some blustery winds. But notice this is where the cold air settles in. It gets very cold, but we also see that northwest system, that giant move in, drops a little piece of energy, and the European, again, all models develop a nor'easter, and they develop a bit of snow, and you can see the European definitely takes it the closest, and it does develop a big system as well. Again, nothing too particularly heavy in terms of snowfall amounts, but it is most definitely still a threat of snow right there. And you can see towards the north also decent amounts, but I do want to say a lot of these, especially towards the north, would be higher. And the reason for that is, let's go back to the GFS. Let me click on the accurate snowfall ratios, because this is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, which with this cold air, it will be a lot more fluffy, the snow, right? You notice that sometimes when it's wet, the snow compacts, and it's, an inch of snow could be very, very heavy because there's a lot of precip in there. But if it's like a very cold, then the snow's like little feathers. It's super fluffy, and you could snow blow that snow if you wanted to. And this is what this measurement helps us estimate what the snowfall will be using the temperatures at that given time. So it's a very good tool, and notice a lot of the locations, especially up here, jump towards 12, 10, 11 inches. A lot more, right, than when we saw with the 10-to-1. I mean, it's a huge difference for especially some of these areas across Minnesota. Shows 4 with the 10-to-1 and shows 10. Increases it by over 100, 120%, 115. And notice same thing with the Northeast. They're a bit higher with this, up to 7, 6, 8 inches. And again, this is the noon model run. Let's go back towards the evening one. You can see not much has changed, especially towards the north, maybe a bit less towards the Northeast. And I can show you the Canadians version of the estimated snowfall ratios, and you can see decent amounts, especially across Kentucky, Virginia, and a bit lesser towards the Northeast, but still 3 to 4, 5 inches, and a lot more here across where it's a lot colder. And I can't show you the European because it doesn't have that feature. I think they remove it. Yeah, it's only available in Pivotal Weather Plus, so that's a bit unfortunate. Now, again, a lot of activity, a lot of stuff to talk about, right? The temperatures, it will be cold this weekend, especially if you live across, again, kind of east and northeast of, I would say, the Rockies, right? Maybe not affecting the extreme deep south, but very cold few days. That blizzard across the Great Lakes will be occurring today into tomorrow, winding down by kind of Friday, and then that nor'easter will be taking shape around Thursday and into Friday, especially maybe into Saturday. Quite a bit of snow across the northwest will be falling as well. Again, that's really going on already right now, and will continue as a pattern favors quite a bit more storms for the northwest, even in the long term. And I do want to show you now the long term using the GFS, which is, I think, a very good model for the long term. Notice there's our systems that we talked about, the blizzard, the system across the northwest, the nor'easter. But look what we start seeing. We start seeing a warm up, right? Same areas that see snow and blizzard conditions could be seeing, well, a bit of rain by next week, or by this upcoming weekend, Sunday. It's a rather shallow warm up. It doesn't bring really strong warm temperatures far north, and you can see that it's met with a complete slap with the cold air. And again, another Arctic invasion by next weekend for especially the northern half of the country. We do see some potentially maybe warm evection, snowfall in some of these boundaries where you can see it's a lot warmer across the west, and we see a ridging begin. Again, it doesn't really spread without any air or without any kind of resistance towards the northeast. And we do see a warmer pattern overall, but again, the models have been kind of battling back and forth whether or not it's going to be a warmer pattern. And even if it is warmer, if we have precip, will there be, where the heavy rates are occurring, there could be some dynamic cooling leading to some heavy wet snow. You can see the GFS shows that even though it's not an overly cold pattern. And just to show you the anomalies, with that right there. You can see it will be a lot warmer across the west, but not a lot less towards as you get towards the northeast. You can see it's a lot warmer over here, and you do see that towards the north and east. We see those cool little invasions, and towards the very end, we see that cold air return. How far north, how far south, how far west or east, and with what precip this cold kind of pattern comes back with is a bit of a mystery, and it's still a mystery, how will this system, for example, shape up next Thursday. It's far out, but it definitely could occur. Definitely good, definitely good probability of it occurring to some extent. And then notice, look at there, nor'easter season potentially. We see a system trying to do something. We see a clipper. We could see a more increased flow of precipitation for, I guess, the Midwest, the Northeast, maybe the Northwest. We'll have to wait and see. Definitely an interesting pattern, and one that we'll have to monitor quite sharply. Canadian only goes out to 240 hours, so it doesn't really show us the long range pattern. It could show us the medium one. And notice, right, it does support that warm system on this upcoming weekend. Bit of ice, bit of snow, kind of a wind wash, maybe a clipper. A lot of cold air. The Canadian really goes hard on the northeast with that cold air. That's almost like a polar vortex. But then right after that, it's a rather quick warm up. Again, that thing gets kicked out, and the warm air doesn't get fully all the way towards the north, but definitely way warmer than what it will be. And you can see it stops at hour 240 with kind of an unknown pattern, I guess, occurring. GFS, many models combined. This gives us a good average look in terms of what could be coming up. Instead of just looking at one model, we could look at many and see all at once what they show. Let me just click on temperature anomalies to give you an easier look. And notice, right now, we're stuck in a little Arctic blast. We will be kind of after that blizzard comes through, one after the other. The warm air does make occasional kind of comebacks, and you can see right there is where that northeast could get pummeled with that very cold air. But after this final one, early next week, we do see more of a warmer pattern. You can see, right, and it's a bit more prolonged. Again, the models do end up showing some cooler air towards the north and east, right there, towards the long range, and they do start increasing its impact. But it's hard to tell if it's going to actually occur like that, if the warm air is going to be more dominant, if it's not going to be as dominant. It's definitely an interesting pattern. At this point, I would say just stay weather aware, right? You saw that even with that warmer pattern, there could be areas that see snow, and one could argue that you could see a stronger storm when it's warmer, more active, versus when you have a polar vortex because it's very dry air, no access to precip, and when it's warm and cold, you have those two sides kind of colliding. You could see some nasty systems, but for now, again, it's very hard to predict what will happen. I would say I'm rather unsure as to what's coming, other than, again, that first warm-up following around this time frame next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then afterwards, maybe a few days of warmth, but we'll have to wait and see. Definitely, though, these polar invasions are going to kind of stop by this upcoming weekend. And this is a very long-range climate model. It goes very, very far out, unreasonably far out, almost a month. So it takes us through the beginning of February, and I'm just looking at a snow depth. So this just shows us where obviously the fall may occur. This one, it's not really accurate, right? I mean, it's pretty darn inaccurate. But you can see that it doesn't show a complete absence of winter, right? Just warm weather or whatnot. It shows snow decently falling here and there. I don't think it particularly shows a very cold weather regime either. And again, assuming this is right, because this thing often is very, very incorrect. And you can see it does show a bit of that colder at first. It does bring in some of that warmer air. You can see right there, boom. And it does show those Arctic recursions. There's that warm up that the GFS shows. There's that cool down. So in general agreement with the GFS, but once you get out towards like 300, 400 hours, I mean, this one does show a very nasty Arctic outbreak. That would be very, very nasty indeed. Not something you'd look forward to, especially late January. So yeah, you can see this one actually surprised me how much cold air it shows. And again, we'll have to just wait and see. Winter's not done yet, right? There's a lot of activity to go. There's a lot of surprises, a lot of curveballs, and I think this winter will be hanging around for a while. La Nina winters usually take a pretty while to get kind of finish off. I think we could be seeing snow well into April for areas as far north or far south as Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Northeast, and whatnot. It's been a trend. Usually the winters have been starting later and ending later likewise. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya.